Hey, gonna learn some new things and get some nice updates about things going on the trail. You know, this is a project that doesn't happen in one day or 1 year or probably not even in a decade, but it's nice to see that we're constantly making some progress, and we do have progress reports today. So why don't we start by going around and introducing ourselves. I'm Jack Walsh, and I'm co-chair with Rista from Torrington, and I'm involved with the Derby Greenway. So let's see, Rich, you want to introduce yourself next?
Richard Crowther, NVCog GIS Analyst, Zoom Master.
Actually, I should have started with Aaron, but everybody knows Aaron, but go ahead, Aaron.
Aaron Woodruss, Regional Planner with NVCog.
Okay. Josh?
It's Josh LaCar, Assistant Planning Director at NVCog.
Okay. Mark?
Mark Nielsen, Director of Planning, NVCog.
Kevin?
Kevin Zach and Naugatuck River Revival Group.
Okay. Paul? Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Paul Benevich, Watertown Town Engineer, acting in the absence of Mr. Kavanaugh. So,
Great. Okay. Actually, my mistake. We have two Pauls today.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So I'm Paul Grimmer. I'm with Shelton Economic Development Corporation.
Casey?
Hi, my name is Casey Hardin. I'm the project manager for NVCog on the Oxford Route 67 alternative transportation study. We'll be giving a brief update during that section.
Okay. Kimberly?
I'm Kimberly Bradley. I'm the program coordinator for the Connecticut Trails Census and Connecticut Trail Finder programs with Yukon Extension.
And Kimberly will be making a presentation to us shortly. That's great. Cleve?
Cleve, I think you're on mute there.
Now you're
Can you hear me now? Cleve Fields, representing Litchfield.
okay. Anne Marie?
Anne Marie Draganis, first select woman for the town of Seymour.
Okay. Rich?
Hey, good morning. I am just joining NVCog as a new transportation planner.
Okay, great. Okay, and I don't know all the first names, and they're not all in there, but is it Janice?
You talking to me, Judy Mancini? Me?
Judy, I'm sorry.
Good morning. I'm Judy Mancini. I'm advisor to Mayor O'Leary in Waterbury, and I'm currently working on the Waterbury Greenway project.
Okay. Again, I don't know the first name, but SLR in the background there.
Hi, I'm Tony Ciriello Anthony. I'm with SLR, formerly Malone and McBroom. I designed that section in Derby behind you. I'm representing the town of Watertown and Paul as a consultant in Roy's absence.
Great. Okay, Mark. The other Mark Ramo. Well, maybe he stepped away. Jennifer.
Hi, this is Jen Riley. I work at the Connecticut DOT.
Okay. Vincent.
Hi, Vince Seifert here. I'm an engineer in private practice. I'm an old friend of Tony Ciriello. It's good to see you. I'm on the Naugatuck. I was volunteered to the Naugatuck section steering committee, and look forward to giving a little update on our walk we had a couple of weeks ago.
Great. Okay, and then again, I don't know the first name. SS Sefcik.
Yeah, that's me, Stacy Sefcik. I am the land use administrator for the town of Thomaston.
Okay, thanks. I think we got everybody, right? And Rissa, I'm sure, will be joining us shortly. We've got a full agenda, and you've seen from the agenda, we're talking about the Connecticut Trail Finder and the updates. And Kimberly's here with us. So Kimberly, if you're ready, I'll give you the floor.
Sure. I will give you a heads up. So I'm going to put on a presentation from Google Presentations. And when that happens, sometimes on some of these interactive platforms, I can't see everyone else. So if that happens and someone raises their hand, if Jack, you could give me a hand of letting me know someone has a question, that would be great.
Okay, and people will feel free also to use the chat function on your screens as well.
Absolutely. All right. can get this into presentation mode. Oh, it works better on Zoom, I guess. I think it's WebEx that we use for Yukon that makes it more challenging. All right, good morning. I want to thank Erin Budrus for inviting me to your meeting this morning, and it's great that we have such a broad representation across so many different organizations. So I think this is an excellent opportunity to talk a little bit about the Connecticut Trail Finder program and to hopefully get some support from the group within the region of the Naugatuck+Valley Greenway. So just to give you a broad overview, the Connecticut Trail Finder will be an interactive website that will provide a statewide resource for information on trails and outdoor resources. And I know we all know there's a lot of trail information out there. What's more challenging is that having it in one central location where users can reference it, and we have information from our DEEP, state parks and forests, our municipal lands, our land trusts, and our Connecticut Forest and Parks Association and other organizations is a real interest as we look to documents such as the State Outdoor Recreation Plan that was developed several years ago. So this is a project and initiative that was started, actually the idea came about slightly before the COVID pandemic, but we saw the need when people were really eager to get outside and find the information they needed that was Trail Manager approved and an important resource for all of our communities and individuals throughout our state. This project's goals are to educate individuals about lesser known trails, so to include all of our trail resources rather than just having those prominent locations that many users already know about and sometimes get a bit overwhelmed. We want to connect our trail users to the trail management organizations, whether they be the land trusts, the municipal groups, the friends groups for our state parks and forests. And we will eventually provide access to local events and trail-side services. So we'll be linking to local businesses and groups that want to engage some of our trail users to hopefully connect some of our trail resources more closely to our local economies. So we're working with the Center for Community GIS, or CCGIS, on this project. They've been contracted to Yukon Extension to build the Connecticut Trail Finder website. And this group has a broad base of experience developing similar resources for states throughout New England as well as throughout the US. Some of the websites they've developed are the Maine Trail Finder and the Vermont, New Hampshire Trail Finder, as well as paddling trails and different resources throughout areas within the US. It's a very exciting opportunity, and I do urge all of you to take a look at these resources from the other states, as our state resource will reflect what we're seeing in some of these. To give you an overview of the project timeline, so this project was initiated back in summer 2020. There was an initial outreach webinar that was hosted at that time. Charlie Tracy used to be in the position that I now hold. And so he had worked through some of the initial development and coordination on this project. This project is funded by the CTDEP Rec Trails program, as well as the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Within the June timeframe, so early June, we hope to have it right around the same time as National Trails Day. We anticipate launching the site, as we're calling it more of a soft launch. So we'll have at least 25, most likely upwards towards 80 trails across Connecticut geographically. We want to identify that we're going to have a broad range of trails. So we hope to have multi-use paths and some of those that may be useful for active transportation beyond just recreational needs. But we will also have single track trails. As I noted, Connecticut Forest and Parks Association is working closely with us. So we'll have their Blue Blaze trails within there. We're working on and have a goal of getting all of the CTDEP parks and forest trail systems into this resource. And right now we're working with a broad range. Many land trusts are very interested in this. So we're working with land trusts. We're working with groups like the Housatonic Valley Association has been a great partner in this effort. And of course, all of our councils of government have been assets in helping us compile mapping and GIS data, as well as coordinating with all of our contacts in different municipalities and land trust organizations. So between June and December, this is why we're calling our June launch a soft launch, because it will be an ever expanding project. And these initial trails are just a start. So we'll be actively adding trails throughout the summer and throughout 2021 into the beginning of 2022. And this will expand all of our trail postings, but we'll also be building out components of the website, including trailside services, as I mentioned before, and development of an events calendar. I'll give you a little more information later in this brief presentation. And we'll also be further developing the interface for users of this website. Right now, we're going through the data collection process. So we're compiling two major forms of data for the needs of the website. That's our GIS data, which includes trail lines and points of interest. And points of interest include our, at minimum, our parking areas and trailheads, but we're also including any sort of features that you want to note on your trails, or if there are restrooms and other facilities, as we see in some of our state parks. We're also compiling narrative information. So in some of the mappers we have around the state, the more regional mappers, some of this information is contained in GIS, and we're able to get that information as needed. But we do have a fillable PDF for our volunteers and staff who are very interested in getting their trails on. They could fill out this narrative data and information. We're also helping to draft these for some of our organizations that have a lot of this information on their websites. So we're working closely with our partners and with each of the groups that want to provide trails to see what works best for getting this information into the website. And I will note that Aaron Bridgers and his group has access to quite a bit of GIS data for areas such as the Naugatuck+Valley Greenway. So we can work closely with the councils of government to get that mapping data if our contacts can provide us some information for this narrative data. Oh, sorry, quick, skip this. So the data process overall, the way it's really working out is that we're reaching out to different contacts. So those are email contacts, either contacting us or reaching out to them, or we're doing presentations to groups such as this. And this will expand even more into the summertime. We're the data gathering, so GIS data is coming to Yukon and CCGIS. Emily Wilson within our CLEAR program is working very closely with us on this project. So she's really helping getting our GIS data organized. And then the narrative drafts are coming through, and I'm really helping to coordinate all of this and get some of our narrative information where we need to. We're also bringing on an intern within a few weeks that will be helping with this effort. So you all may meet her eventually. Our website trail posting is then developed. So this is one that we've developed for Chatfield Hollow and is actually right about to be approved by our state park manager for this site. You will have a complete overview to review this posting, and we need your approval to publish it. The point we're making is that this resource will have all trail manager approved trails, as compared to different applications such as All Trails, which is crowdsourced, and it's not necessarily reliable data or information. And again, we will have very clear indication of who the trail manager is. A link to your information will be providing and getting icons from you to be able to fully develop these postings. Once we publish the posting, it will be up and available to all of our external users, but we're always available for follow-up and corrections if we need to. There's also the opportunity for advisory notifications. So if there's development, if there's construction, if there's some reason that you need to shut down part of the trail, or if there are issues on the trail, we could post those advisory notifications and be a source of information to be able to communicate with trail users throughout the state. Now, what's exciting for us as well, and I think maybe of interest from several on this call, is we will be building out trailside services as a component of the Trail Finder as well. This will be developed over the summer, and it will list businesses, whether it be restaurants or places to stay, or groups such as bike shops, if we have interest in bike repair, guide organizations, and even some of our user groups. So we can have different advocacy groups or groups that are active in the area, helping with some of the trail maintenance and upkeep, or just getting groups out onto the trails. And these listings will appear on a tab within each of the trail pages. It will also provide an interactive map where you can look specifically at some of these resources. And we are looking at each of these resources does not have to be, some people have asked if the resources have to be directly adjacent to the trail, but they do not. They'll provide information on the proximity to the trail for each of these. As you can see, this is an example from the main Trail Finder of what service categories will be included in these trailside services. This is still in development. So if there are thoughts that you have on this, please provide us feedback and we'll make sure that we're inclusive of the different groups that are interested within this. We are working on local levels to highlight all of our local businesses and focus on connection of these resources to economic development. We're hoping and working towards connecting with the Connecticut Office of Tourism. As many know, the Visit CT has some of these applications on their website. So we're hoping to be able to really make this efficient and useful for users throughout our state and those visiting our state. We are considering whether we want to make this an incorporation of sponsorship options for some of these services. But again, we're still working through those details and definitely interested in input for that. And finally, we will be also working on this events calendar. I've been coordinating directly with the Connecticut Outdoor Recreation Alliance. They had interest in developing their own calendar, and I said, well, this could be a good opportunity to really team on this and support the development of their organization while filling our events calendar. This snapshot is an example of, I believe this is the Vermont, New Hampshire calendar. And it does show that we can have events from free events that are hosted by local land trusts, all the way up to, we anticipate even groups such as REI that may have fee-based events. What individuals will do, so different groups will start and make their own user profile, which will be available on the website. And you can fill out an event calendar information post to put up. So Cora will hopefully be helping us review those postings and accept those so that we can fill out this calendar and get one location where everyone can turn to look for outdoor recreation opportunities. And I do want to note that we will have an outreach webinar hosted through Yukon Clear on May 26th between 1 and 2 p.m. It will be a similar overview that I'm giving here in this webinar, might have a little more detail, but what is exciting is we'll be able to do a live review of the website. So I anticipate actually opening up the website and giving everyone a sneak peek before our launch in June so that you can see how some of these different website resources work and what the website will look like overall. And I do anticipate that a big portion of that webinar will be outreach coordination and question answer sessions. So you may learn more and we may get some good questions to really help direct our project as well. And I will send this out to the group afterwards. There is a registration link right here where you can look up the schedule, learn a little bit more about the abstract and register for that webinar if you're interested. So that's about it. I know Erin had asked, I know you guys have a very full agenda, so I didn't want to take too much time, but I hope that gives you a good overview. If there are any questions, let me know, but you could always email me if you want to follow up on this at all, and especially if you're interested in submitting some trail information.
Kim, I guess my first question is actually the next bullet on the agenda, call for data from trail managers. I mean, do you have trail managers for all the people that are on this call today in all their communities? For
I
example,
do not. I think this is a great outreach opportunity because I don't think I have contacts for all of these different groups. So that would be excellent. And I know I have been working very closely with Aaron, and Aaron can fill everyone in as well, that we've been coordinating the GIS information that the COG has. So we can actually work with a lot of different individuals on here with already having GIS data in hand. And we are, from the DOT perspective, we have a list of priority trails for them. And the Naugatuck+Valley Greenway is on that list. So we definitely are interested in including, especially in our initial trails, several pieces of this trail system. So again, I don't want to make this onerous on anyone. So if you're feeling stressed out about trying to get trails to us, please reach out. We'll be able to break down this process and make it more amenable to you and see what your groups need from us in order to get your trail data in.
And
Kevin had a question on our water trails included.
Yes, paddling trails are included. We're very interested. So I haven't been able to get a water trail completely in yet. So we have some leads, but if someone has access to that information and managers of water trails, please contact me as soon as possible.
I'm sure you'll be hearing from Kevin. Aaron?
So Jack, we met with our GIS staff and our environmental staff here met with Kim this past week and talked about how we can best get as many trails in our region included early on the website. And I think the Naugatuck River Greenway is one thing is a priority for us at least to get up on that website. So we would like to know who the contact in each town would be. So who is the trail manager in each town? So I don't know if that's the Parks Department or the trails committee in town. So if you can get me that information, we do have all of the trail mapped already. So you wouldn't have to worry about getting that GIS data. We probably have enough information to fill out the narrative as well. So what we really need though is when somebody goes to your section of trail on that website and they have an issue or they want to report something or have a question, we need to have a contact and a link to somebody in town that has that information. So, if you want to go around and, talk right now about the open sections and if you know who that person is right now, that would be great. I can take their information down and we can work with Kim and your staff to get that done. Or you can just email me that information too.
Aaron, I'll try and help with Derby. Kimberly, can you share that fillable PDF form with people so they know what you're looking for?
Yes, absolutely. What I will do is I'll send out a follow-up email. I'll include the presentation that I just provided. So it has all that information. I'll include the fillable PDF, and we also have an information guide that will provide you just an overview of the different data we need.
All right, so again, I think this to keep the meeting on track in terms of time. Everyone knows what we'll be looking for. You'll be getting that. And then if you could provide that information to Aaron, he'll kind of coordinate it to make sure that the whole Naugatuck River Greenway Trail gets included in. Aaron, with that, even though technically they're not part of the Naugatuck River Greenway, I'm hoping you'll also include my good friend Paul Grimmer there because there are some exciting things going on in Shelton, which maybe we'll hear about later in the meeting. So, any other questions? Well, Kimberly, thanks a lot for that. And I actually, are you next on the agenda too to talk about the Connecticut Trail Census?
Well, that's Aaron, do you want me to give an update for the trail census as well? Or
if you want to, or I can, it's up to you.
Go ahead, you can give the update and I'll just add any information and if needed.
Okay, so the 2020 data is all up on the website now, the Connecticut Trail Census website, as well as the first quarter of count data, I believe is live now. Is that right, Kim?
Yep,
so
count data is up.
All that's up. There is a 2020 trail count report and a 2020 trail survey report up there as well. And it's sort of an overview of all of the trails that are within the program. But it's some pretty good information. And, we've been working with Kim and, trying to get a better handle on how we can better capture information with the resources that we have. The QR code survey that we initiated last year worked really well. I think there was 1,300 or 1,400 responses statewide, and we got a lot more of the trails that we hadn't had responses from previously. So, so check it out. There's a lot of really good information in there.
And I would urge everyone to take a look at that data and make sure you share it with town officials, so that they know, just how much value all these trails are providing, because, we all know it's there, but no one else is going looking for that data. So please take that and share it with the appropriate people in your community. Okay, moving along. Aaron, you're up next with the priorities.
Yeah, so let me see if I can try to share my screen again. I'm having some technical issues here. Let's see. Well, I guess that we really don't need the screen share. So I just wanted to say that we presented to at the last meeting in March. You all endorsed a priorities report. We presented that priorities report to the NVCOG board, just as an informational basis, and we did publish it to the website. So if you go to the main Naugatuck River Greenway webpage on the NVCOG website, that report is posted. We also posted the 2020 Greenway Trail Progress sort of one page flyer up there as well. So if you need those for any reason, grant applications or informational purposes, they're available on our website.
Aaron, did the NVCOG board adopt it, accept it? What do they do when they get a report like that?
So we hadn't asked them to accept the previous one, and since it's sort of a multi-regional report, we didn't ask them to do that again. And I don't know, Mark, if you want to speak to whether or not we could do that in the future, or
Yeah, I mean, it's always a question of whether we get the board to endorse, but like Aaron said, because it covers 2 regions, we present it for information only. And we can go back. If you really feel that we have more weight for endorsement by the board, we could actually do that and ask them to endorse it. I don't think that would be an issue. But again, the steering committee is kind of like not an official steering committee of the COG, so we're not sure if there's really a need to have the board endorse.
How did they feel about it? I guess that's.
Oh, yeah, they were in favor. Yeah, there wasn't any objections. I think they're all supportive of the trail and the efforts that we're doing. Otherwise, we're our staff is taking time and effort and using some more federal dollars to do a lot of this planning. And if the board was not supportive, they would say, stop doing it. So no, they're definitely supportive and want to see the project move forward. So that's what I'm saying. If you feel we should get their endorsement, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think they would be more than willing to do that.
No, I don't think it's necessary. It's just nice to know that they do support it, and that we keep it in front of people, and that we keep updating it to show that we are making progress. As I say, you think a project like this is not a short-term thing. It's a long-term thing, and you have to keep people aware that we are constantly making progress.
Right.
Sometimes it seems slow, but we are making progress.
Yeah.
So one base hit at a time, as Mark Loretti and Shelton.
Yeah,
Don't need a grand slam, but keep hitting those base hits. So.
Right, and that's why we've done some of the work that we have done. The economic impact study was, a prime example, because a lot of times administrations sort of view, the trails is sort of a luxury, something that, oh, okay, we'll do if we have resources to do it. But what we're trying to demonstrate that no, they actually do provide a very valuable benefit to the communities economically, culturally, just making that town, much more attractive, has a lot of benefits. So, that's why we keep trying to emphasize that, no, it is a good investment and, something that, residents are very proud of and, feel good about. So it is a good use of municipal resources. So, and like you said, we have to emphasize that, yeah, it does take a lot of time. Even when you think you got a project that's all ready to go, something comes up with that prevents us from moving that quickly. So
again, I think staff did an excellent job on that. It's very easy to read and understand. So thanks for all your hard work on that.
Yep, that Aaron's the one that does 98% of it. So yeah, the kudos go to him.
It's a nice piece. Well done. Well, now why don't we move on to some other exciting stuff in here? What is being done in terms of progress on the trail? I don't think we have anyone from Ansonia here today, but there's a lot going on there. Aaron or Mark, one of you want to take that, Ansonia?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where they are in the status of their projects, but yeah, they are moving ahead with design of the next section. They got transportation alternatives. Pardon?
They started construction.
Okay, so they did start the construction, so that's being funded under the TA, and then they have a rec trails to look at the a routing from downtown up to the Seymour town line. The city is also looking at trying to do some planning and engineering for relocating or creating a new road from downtown up to Route 8. And it'd be sort of basically relocating Route 334. And as part of that planning effort, they're going to be looking at opportunities for a parallel trail as part of that. So they're moving ahead. They are supportive of getting the trail completed through Ansonia. So yeah, things are moving ahead.
Hey, Mark, this is a quick question. Do they still plan to build their lighthouse?
That I don't know. Because the last time I heard that was going to be a real big issue because of the Army Corps not wanting something like that built on the flood control wall. So I'm not sure whether that was finally taken out or whether they relocated.
Okay, but again, it's shovels are in the ground. They're on the other side of the river from the existing Riverwalk, and they're on top. And I would expect that one will not be a very difficult one to get done in a short period of time, because basically it's on top of the old flood control wall. So
yeah, and I just sort of remember too, they did submit an application for federal funds under the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Funding Program to sort of fill in the gaps, for pedestrian access from the trails that they are building to the train station, and adding in some, a lot of some pedestrian accommodations and features. So if that gets funded, that whole downtown area will be pretty much complete, and then they can concentrate on, extending it northward.
All right, Waterbury, Judy, you're going to do that?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I'm excited to tell you that the project had to be rebid. Our engineer has almost completed his review of the 3 lowest bidders. He's identified the lowest qualified bidder. We plan on sending all of our information to the Department of Transportation later this week, and for their approval and the approval of FHWA. And we are hoping that we'll be able to issue a notice to proceed on construction at some point in June. So we're very excited about that.
And Judy, how much of a trail is it? How many miles?
2.5 miles. It goes from Platt's Mill to Eagle Street, and some of it goes directly adjacent to the river. Some of it is a park. There's going to be a park with amenities, a bathroom, lighting. It's going to be great. We're excited. We're very excited.
So that's another about 5%.
Yeah.
Of the trail. So that's pretty significant. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a slog, as you guys know. It's a long process. So we are very excited in Waterbury to be able to tell you that. So, and the COG has been amazingly helpful with the whole thing. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, how about Watertown and Thomaston? Who's going to handle that today?
I can handle Watertown, Mark, or Jack, sorry. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Since the last meeting, I've been concentrating, as I said, on trying to find not just horizontally, but vertically where the water main is. Waterbury's one of their 2 transmission lines that goes through roughly half of our 2.4-mile trail between Frostbridge and Branchbrook, where it's going to connect to Thomaston over the river. And the results have been very positive. Out of the 12 of 15 holes I wanted to dig so far, only 3 I hit or didn't even encounter the water main going down 3 feet, which I want for minimum cover. And the 2 I found that were shallow or pretty easily, I think, to fill and be covered. So it's all positive so far. Just reminds me too much of digging for survey monuments back in the day and prying rocks out, but at least I can move a foot or 10 if I had to. It doesn't have to make a hole exactly where a monument's going. But anyway, so that's positive. Like I said, there's 3 more holes I got to dig, hopefully certainly before the next meeting, I'll have this long tied in. And the other good item is that my GIS tech guys are, as we speak, out using a GPS, tying in my survey to the state system. And then we're going to overlay a section of the GIS corridor between the highway and the river, with the railroad and everything. And for presentation purposes, we'll have all the grading and contours of that whole trail. I think it'll help, like I said, for presentation purposes, also to get all the permits that, as Tony Ciriello said, there's voluminous permits you need to get one of these things through between, core and cheapo and everything. So everything looks good and we're going forward with the design. So that's where we're at.
Paul, do you mind if I add a couple points to that?
No, go ahead, Tony. Yep.
Paul, we actually had a great meeting about 2 weeks ago with the town manager, who may be, and Mark, if Mark Ramo's on the call, who may be a little new to the concept for the Thomaston to Watertown connection. But we had a great meeting in the town manager's office about 2 weeks ago with Rob Langenauer from the Waterbury Water Bureau. That water line, as you may know, from Thomaston to Watertown is actually owned by the city of Waterbury. And Rob would be new to the concept of that Greenway as well. And he was fully supportive of the idea of a Greenway paralleling and potentially crossing or even occupying the same space as that water main, acknowledging that there may be certain construction details that we would have to work around to protect the main and guarantee that the main would not be adversely impacted by construction, and recognizing that a Greenway there, potentially a paved Greenway there, would give him future access to the water line for inspection. So it was a real positive meeting with Rob. The COG attended, and a great opportunity to get the town manager up to date as well on that particular connection.
Oh, that sounds great, because that's been a concern as long as we've been talking about that connection. That's great. Really great.
And Jack, I also just want to add too that we're reaching out to the department because, at the meeting that Tony alluded to, we agreed that the next step is we need to get back out in the field. We want to try to bring everybody who's involved in the project, out to the site, walk it, so we can actually look at, what's out there, where the concerns are, and then try to discuss, how to, mitigate any, potential impact. So, we're reaching out to the Office of Rails to try to get them involved because, again, part of a short section of the trail is going to be pretty close to the Naugatuck Railroad there. So we want to make sure Office of Rails is out there. And we also want to get the local roads division of conduct, because we did put an application in for the LOTSIP grant program. We want to, those engineers are the ones that first really voiced a lot of concern about the water mains. So we want to get them out as well to sort of just discuss and try to address their concerns so we can move this thing forward. But yeah, like Tony said, it was a good meeting, and it's been sort of delayed about a year, and partly because of the whole pandemic thing and other issues. But hopefully we can get it back on track real soon.
Sounds good. All right, how about Naugatuck Waterbury? Who's handling that one today?
Yeah, thank you. Do you hear me okay?
Yep, that's
Yeah, we had a really good, well-attended site visit back a month ago or so. About 8 or 10 people showed up. And, we're really excited to be helping connect Naugatuck's completed section to the Waterbury section that's going to go into construction this year. I think that'll end up being a 5 or 6 mile continuous set of trails segment if we get Naugatuck section 1 figured out. And basically, we focused on the last quarter mile of the 2 options that we see that are on the table, because the trail is going to start on the west side of the river in Naugatuck, and we have to get to the east side to connect them to Waterbury. So the one option is to stick with the plan that's kind of drawn up right now, which involves a 250-foot prefabricated bridge connecting to the canoe launch there on Platts Mill Road. So I have somebody, an engineer friend of mine, getting a price for what potentially that cost of a 250-foot pedestrian bridge would be. They are available. It's about the limit that Contact, a very good pre-engineered bridge company, makes. So we're waiting on a cost estimate to that. And we want to compare that to what we thought might be a simpler option, but not sure anymore, which is keep the trail on the west side up to Bristol Street. It's an existing vehicle bridge with a sidewalk. And that would involve working with the railroad to move a bunch of earth and maybe put up some retaining walls and have what they call a grade separation between the railroad and the trail. In other words, be cutting into the side of the bank there, which would eliminate fencing, because railroads don't really like the fencing because it becomes a maintenance issue and a liability for them. So they'd rather not have a fence. So in any case, Wayne Giroli for the town of Naugatuck agreed to draw up some cross sections in this area, so we could then estimate how much earth would have to be moved, and then would put a price to that, just with the Naugatuck staff, Jim Stewart and Wayne Giroli and myself. And then we were going to just kind of compare what we think are the least cost option, and then bring that information back to the steering committee.
wow. I mean, that's a big segment. You're talking 5 to 6 miles. That's over 10% of the trail sites. So that's huge. So hope it keeps going smoothly. Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, now we've got a little bit of a spur, not technically on the direct path, but some amazing stuff going on in Oxford right now, if you haven't been up on Route 67. And I don't know who's going to address that. Aaron, is that going to be you?
So we've Casey Hardin, who's the project manager from Trans Systems, who's been working on this project. So I might give you a brief overview. So Route 67 is really Oxford's quote unquote main street, but it really does not have the typical New England Main Street feel or pedestrian access or transit options that a lot of our downtowns do have. So Oxford's been very interested in changing that and making their main street more of a main street. So we came up with this plan to really look at opportunities along the entire route between really the Southbury town line and into Seymour, and the opportunity to actually connect the Naugatuck River Greenway in Seymour to the Larkin Bridle Trail, and almost create a loop trail eventually between the three trails, and also look at transit opportunities as well. So I'll let Casey sort of pick up from there. I don't know if you have anything to share on the screen, Casey. I stopped sharing.
I can. I do. I pulled up a few things just to kind of start if you wanted me to.
Sure.
Just first of all, I've got just a page here from our our existing conditions report, kind of highlighting that triangle. So again, just to build off what Aaron said, in addition to Route 67 and the Main Street factor, Route 67 parallels the Little River, which is a managed trout stream with several municipal fishing sites along it. So there's a real desire to leverage that sort of nature aspect. The town has already made great inroads to opening what they call the Little River Nature Preserve, which will include a small nature center in the vicinity of the town hall, in the little neighborhood of buildings they call Oxford Center. And it'll include some more sort of little rough pathways, more kind of hiking trails around some of the hillside around the Little River. And they've also secured a community connectivity grant and will be essentially implementing what's the first phase of our recommendations. But ultimately, this is about a 6 mile, almost think of it as a triangular leg between the Larkin Bridle Trail, which of course connects over to Naugatuck, and then the Naugatuck River Greenway down in Seymour. And we've broken our recommendations up into about 8 different implementable segments. One of the challenges we face is the continuous crossings of the Little River. There's sort of this sinuous pattern where I think there's about 5 bridge structures, and of course none of the Route 67 bridges have an extra millimeter of space. So we're looking at a series of prefabricated bridges that would be installed parallel to the road bridges. They're relatively, it's not a large river, so we're talking sort of 40 to 50 foot spans for each of those. And so we've sort of built it out in segments where I'm going to switch to just another map that kind of highlights that. So this is just sort of I kind of flipped the orientation on you, but we've broken it up into 3 segments. There's sort of a much more rural section between Oxford Center and Southford. So ultimately, the northern terminus will be there's a parking area on Route 188 in Southbury, in the kind of Southford neighborhood, where the trail, the Larkin Trail, crosses Route 188. So that would be the northern terminus of this trail, and then it would follow Route 67 as a side path. Throughout its length, we try and maximize the buffer where we can. Some locations where it would need to have like a guide rail, just due to topography, we have to be a little bit closer to the roadway. And I think the first segment the town's doing is this first part of the central segment. So from a priority perspective, they're really looking to connect Oxford Center and the nature preserve to the new Quarry Walk development. Continue down to Seymour. So we have a sort of interim solution to meet the existing sidewalk network right across the town line in Seymour. And then we've been coordinating with Tony Ciriello's folks over at SLR, who are doing a design project on Route 67 for DOT and the town of Seymour, and kind of trying to figure out the best way to get the path all the way across the Naugatuck River to the Greenway and the Ting Dam facility there. So throughout the trail, there's going to be some sort of interim termini where we're gonna kind of introduce some wayfinding, sort of pocket park type things, and look to connect to some of the natural facilities such as the nature preserve the town's got, and then some of those fishing areas. So this is sort of a nice rural trail. Could be a recreational resource paired with the other 2 existing trails, both the Larkin Trail and the Naugatuck River Greenway. And so we're nearing completion. We're anticipating a public meeting to present our final findings in the sort of middle of June timeframe. We're hoping to do it in person, probably at the high school. And we have a website up on the NVCOG website, and we're going to be pushing some of a new story map feature that's like a navigable interactive GIS feature that'll sort of take users on a kind of virtual tour of the corridor. And thanks again to Tony Ciriello, who's SLR is a sub-consultant working with us on these, and And obviously Aaron is the PM on the NVCOG site, and Mark's been a really vocal participant as well.
Interesting. I mean, Oxford is booming at the moment. I think their population gain over the last 20 years is by percentages as big as I think just about any community in the state of Connecticut. So it's nice to see that they're incorporating trails and recreation into the design. All right, let's move on. I see that we've got other there, but I'm gonna call on Paul Grimmer for a second. You know, again, Shelton right across the river, there are some exciting things going on, and work has already started on the connection between Derby and Shelton. And I understand that there's a potential for something exciting going on at the Canals in Shelton too. So Paul, why don't you update us? And I'm sure Mark will be jumping in here too. I see the work already starting on the bridge.
Okay, so couple things is, can I get control of the screen so I can share my screen?
Aaron, can you do that? Or-
Yes, give me 1 second.
Okay, I actually didn't anticipate talking. I'm glad I showed up because there are two things I really want to mention. The last gentleman that was speaking regarding the Oxford stuff, when I worked for Oxford Economic Development Corporation, I remember this this one lonely driller drilling a rock face. And I said, this thing is going to take forever. And slowly as I worked there, this rock was just getting further and further back. And it turned out to be that that beautiful development in Oxford. So when Jack was saying things like it's you know, it's these little singles that help you progress, I can't tell you that anybody ever thought that when the folks were drilling those rocks, that it would have turned into what it did. Now, maybe the ownership and the developers had an idea of what they were doing, but when it first started, I'm just thinking, what are they going to do with all this rock? And apparently they did something with it. The other thing that Mark Nielsen said, he was talking about the economic impact of the trail creation. And while Shelton may have done a lot of brownfields redevelopment along Canal Street, and one of the primary things, and I think the most significant thing that they could have done for the city of Shelton and downtown was create Veterans Memorial Park. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, Veterans Memorial Park is essentially, used to be the BF Goodrich slab. It's a big, beautiful 6-acre park. And on that, and in that park setting, we have the Rotary Pavilion, we have the Housatonic Riverwalk, we have Veterans, the Veterans Memorial, and we also have the Farmers Market. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, you couldn't make anybody go to downtown Shelton. You'd have to literally take them at gunpoint to want to go down there because nobody wanted to. Basically, downtown Shelton was full of, or at least Canal Street was full of these old antiquated industrial mill buildings, was surrounded by slum and blight and decay. And that Veterans Memorial Park was probably the very first and most single important investment that the city of Shelton could have made. Right now, Veterans Memorial Park probably gets 125 to 150,000 people a year on the site. So back in the late 80s, when you couldn't get anybody to come down there, now you're having trouble finding parking for everybody that wants to go down there. Right now, we've got this big, beautiful circus carnival on the site. And throughout the year, there's routinely things. And given like the math I've done, I'll bet you these trails that are being developed along the Naugatuck River Greenway probably get more people on them in a year than we even do at the Veterans Memorial Park. And so I do think for a good number of locations that those trails can really translate into some really great economic development and economic benefit for the communities that are participating. So, all right, so for those, I'm going to just show, I didn't expect to speak. Good thing I had all of these PowerPoints on my screen. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Veterans Memorial Park, exactly what I said. It shows these two photos really just show the Riverwalk, and you can see the parts of the park on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side you just see a picture of our Veterans Memorial there. But from end to end on Canal Street, it's 1 mile long. The Housatonic Riverwalk goes for a period of time and then stops at an undeveloped property. What the city of Shelton did was all of the developments that are being built along Canal Street, all are required to keep a right-of-way. So in a short period of time, this Riverwalk will go all the way from the Commodore Hall Bridge all the way up to the Shelton Canals. We've got a number of projects underway where those right-of-ways have been saved, and we anticipate very quickly, I shouldn't say quickly is a relative term, right? Housatonic Riverwalk was probably started in the early 2000s, so here we are 20 years later and we're still working on it, but we are working on it. On the north side of, very north end of Canal Street, we have the last remaining open water canal, small, but it's important. Alongside that, we have the Shelton Canal locks. We have a very small section of canal that you can see there's no water in it. There is actually a little stream in there where there's a little tiny bit of water, but this is what the canal looks like right now. It's overgrown with silt, overgrown with brush, invasive weeds, trees. This picture that I'm showing you right here, you can literally walk across the canal. When I was a kid, you'd be able to swim in there. Now it's just overgrown with brush and silt, and along with that, trash, because there's no people, no activity, and it becomes a dumping ground. So one of the things we started thinking about was creating a thing that we're dubbing the Shelton Canal Locks Park and Riverwalk. And in this area, we're trying to kind of this would be like the bookend side of Veterans Memorial Park, and giving people a reason to participate and actively seek out recreation in this area. So the first thing we're trying to do is undertake the planning for the environmental remediation, the environmental restoration of the habitat. Digging out the silt, removing the weeds, recreating or reestablishing habitat for wildlife and birds and fish, removing all of the debris aspects that get collected in there. We're also looking to do a historical preservation of the Shelton Canal Lock. Don't have a great picture of it, but that's what you see right there on the left-hand side of that screen. Left-hand side of that screen. And also, actually, this is the canal lock that goes down to the Housatonic River. And one of the other aspects we're trying to do is create direct access to the river in this area. All along that entire 1 acre, that 1 mile stretch, you really can't get to the river. So in this particular area, we're going to, or at least planning to, provide public access to the river in this section. You think about it for fishing, for kayak launching, for, creating a little beach, something for people to to actively participate in, and something that they can't do on the other side. So we've kind of engaged Naugatuck+Valley Council of Governments to help us create a storyboard similar to what they did for the Kinneytown Dam. Some of the gentlemen there are probably thinking, well, when are we going to get started? We are getting started. One of the things we did is we're trying to create the historical background for it so that they can create the storyboard. And we just hired Jim Tate to do some renderings of the potential areas that we want to do, the kayak launches, access to the river, restoration. So as soon as we get all of that information, we'll be able to provide it to NVCOG so that they can do their thing. And really the purpose for the storyboard is just to, generate the public, provide public opportunity for input, educate them as to what we're trying to do, and get the city's buy-in for participation. We'll be meeting with Mayor Loretti and the small committee that we put together in next week, and hopefully getting some real good progress made in May. And hopefully we get to Aaron and Mark and the rest of them sometime in June with all of our materials. So. And actually, though, one of the most important aspects of it is a direct connection to the Housatonic Riverwalk. So,
yeah, absolutely. And, it looks like Mark has stepped away from his desk. I was going to have him do the update on the bridge that connects Derby to Shelton, because that project has already started. I'm down there every day and I see the kind of complex work, hanging all kinds of cranes and things off the side of the bridge and repairing the cement underneath the bridge. But that work should take, is it about 1.5 years, 2 years, Aaron? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not positive. I think it was at least a year, but.
Yeah. And again, this will include, pedestrian access across the bridge for walking, biking, et cetera, that hasn't been there. So, again, this is kind of a spur of the Naugatuck River Greenway, but in some ways it was ahead of us because it was built before ours was started. But it's a nice connection. It's another nice piece to add to this. So, Paul, congratulations on all your work, and hopefully it continues.
All right. Hey, before I stop talking, how do I give this back to you, Aaron?
I think you did.
I did?
Yeah. Or he took it. Okay.
Okay, great.
Let's move on. That is all great stuff. But at the end of the day, it does come down to dollars and cents. And our next section is on funding update. So I don't know who's handling that.
So that was going to be Mark. But I can say I don't think there is anything new to report. I haven't heard anything about rec trails being bonded. I was hoping Rissa would be able to give an update on that. And I know DOT is still reviewing the sort of top ranked projects in each region for the transportation alternatives. But I believe that those projects have been placed on the tip. I'm not positive. So that would mean that, theoretically they will be going forward. And in our region, that project was the Steel Brook Greenway section in Watertown was the top ranked.
Correct.
The second ranked, I think, in the Waterbury urban area was the section of trail in Naugatuck connecting to Waterbury. So depending on the future federal transportation bill, there may be additional funding available, and there's also been some indication that that COGS and MPOs might have more control over that funding than we have right now. So just something to keep in mind, and we'll look forward to seeing that.
And, you know, the nice part is that communities, I have been making plans. I know I always heard the term from Jimmy Ryan that if you're shovel ready and the funds become available, you might be at the front of the line. So let's hope our projects stay at that shovel ready level. And when funds do become available, maybe we'll shorten the length of time it takes to get this whole thing done. So thank you. Trails Day. I don't know who's handling that.
That was going to be Rista, but so Trails Day is, let's see if I can, oops.
Maybe Kim knows.
Yeah, so it's I think it's the first weekend in June. I looked through, I didn't see any walks on any sections of the Naugatuck River Greenway, but I'm sure that I did see some towns that were involved. So Ansonia is right there at the top. There are events in towns throughout the region. So, you know, I know in the past, I think we had sponsored one walk or a couple walks in Watertown, where we had the Naugatuck River Greenway stuff out. I know the pandemic is sort of, you know, put a damper on some of those in-person events, but it's something to think about for next year, where we can, you know, promote the Greenway. And, you know, we do have a banner and we have all information that we can pass out to people. It's nice. It's nice getting this information out and talking to people in the communities where we're, you know, trying to get this done. So something to think about for next year.
Okay. Other business, Kennytown Dam, there have been some discoveries since we had our bigger presentation in one of the previous meetings. Is that going to be Kevin?
Yeah. So yeah, Kevin, if you want to give a little, I can start off, and
Yeah.
Kevin, if you want to fill in the gaps. So, you know, the coalition that was formed to really, you know, get out ahead of this this issue. So NVCOG, Kevin's group, the Naugatuck River Revival Group, and Save the Sound, have really been putting the pressure on, and I think that pressure was felt. So there's been some really good letters filed by Fish and Wildlife Service to compel the new owners of the dam to you know, follow a schedule to make repairs and to reinstate fish passage. That was followed up by FERC, who concurred with the Fish and Wildlife findings and schedule. And DEP also submitted a pretty strong letter to FERC. So the first step of that is to do an engineering study at the dam. Fish and Wildlife is going to be doing that study. They were out on site on Friday, and I guess that's going to be ongoing for the next few weeks. And basically any, you know, the sort of solutions are going to be, you know, coming out of that engineering report to see actually, you know, what can pass there, what cannot, you know, whether or not it was constructed properly to begin with. So we're really in sort of a holding pattern right now, waiting for that to come out. But, you know, I think the coalition and the COG is prepared to take action if you know, if that does not go well anyway.
And we have the first selectman, Anne Marie DeGronis, on the call. Anne Marie, do you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I really have to add to that is I think, you know, the Naugatuck River Greenway and Kevin Zach for doing everything and pointing these out and pushing this forward. We have a lot of residents that love going down there and want to see this done. We did receive a letter from the DEP asking to use one of our parking lots to store their material. And we had to give them an extended time to December 31st of 2021 this year. So that's kind of given me a happy thought of thinking that the fish bypass will be done by then, since they only want to store their material there until then. So.
Great, thank you. Kevin?
You're on mute, Kevin.
Anne Marie, is there a link to the design of that, what's, you're referring to the Tinu Dam bypass fix, correct?
Yes, I have not received any drawings as of yet.
So nobody knows what it really looks like or what's entailed. All right.
No, once we get it, I will gladly share it with all of you.
Okay, also, Aaron, to your point, the next major phase is in the Kinneytown Dam is actually, like he stated, is this engineering report that's due technically to FERC by June 15th. That could be everything, and or the nail in the coffin, if you will, to Kinneytown. But the coalition is looking into a complaint, filing a complaint, and that's very likely to actually happen. But that would be the strong action that Aaron was referring to. So we're that would hopefully maybe reopen this exemption. We have a new dam owner that really doesn't seem to know what they're doing down there. They're consisting, if you go to their website, Hydroland, it consists of a bunch of bankers. And they got Kinneytown in part of a 13 hydro dam deal with an L. And they want to make Kinneytown an example of, to their investors that how wonderful these dams are and the power that's generated. That's a big mistake, and it's not a good thing for us. So the coalition, as Aaron said, is putting as much pressure as humanly possible coming from Blumenthal and all 19 towns. So it's at a critical point. We don't know how this engineering study will go. Kinneytown, Hydroland, considered us all outsiders and would not allow us, as much as we pressed to get access to the site on Friday. They had one representative there, but they considered everybody outsiders here and said we'd rather not have any quote unquote outsiders at that meeting because we have never met with Fish and Wildlife. That was their excuse. That put us at a little disadvantage, and we're trying to, because we have concerns, literal concerns, and we know where all the bodies are buried, and we have not been able to make that representation and our findings known to the engineer from Fish and Wildlife. Whether that's going to happen, we do not know. We do not even know if there's going to be another site visit. And so there's some serious things up in the air. As Aaron says, we're in another holding pattern. But we're trying to turn over every stone that possible to make sure that that Kinneytown is fixed. Without it,
well, at least you have some timelines now for the study, and Emery has December 31st deadline. So things are moving along compared to where this was 2 years ago. So again, keep up the good work. All right, let's move on because the COG has an interesting sale going on at the moment.
On a lighter note,
yes,
we're hosting a composter and rain barrel sale. So these are so basically offering wholesale prices on these items. So we're working with someone that gets these directly from the manufacturer. They're about half the price that you would find in a store. They're pretty nice quality items. So you can order them on our website. There's a link to a web store, and they have to be picked up on June 19th, either in Cheshire or in Southbury, and that way you don't have to pay for shipping. And the company we're working with will bring them, and we'll be distributing them at those locations. So if you're looking for a composter or a rain barrel sale, you won't find one at a better price than we have them at. It's my salesman pitch right there.
Yeah,
So
so all you backyard gardeners.
check it out. So I mean, we are really trying to help towns with diverting some of the waste that does not need to end up in the municipal waste stream. This is really our intent. And I know this is a small bite out of that giant apple, but you know, I think we all need to start thinking about that.
Very good. Anything else to come before the group today?
I heard somebody was looking for the Ting Dam contract drawings. I have a copy of them.
Okay, yeah,
How do we-
Kevin or Anne Marie might be interested in those.
Yeah, how do we get that?
Yeah.
If you want to send them to me, I can forward them on to Anne Marie and Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do.
Right. Anything else?
Oh, yes. So-
Anne Marie?
We are going to be working, I'm going to get in touch with my blight officer. We had known over by the Tignu Dam on our side where it's all trash, and I'm getting a lot of complaints from residents. So we're gonna send them a letter stating that they must clean up their site. Just to let you know.
Yep. Okay, I think a motion to adjourn might be in order.
Make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Well, thank you. We finished a little bit early, and it was a very informative meeting and a very positive meeting. A lot of good stuff going on. So let's keep working and make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Everyone.
Okay.
Maybe we can think about doing an in-person meeting in August.
That'd be great. Yeah.
But
So
maybe on site too.
Will
maybe
we
we
know
get
what
a-
to
maybe
do
we
with
get a-
ourselves in person? I don't know if we'll know what to do with ourselves in person.
With our luck, it'll rain that day.
I'm excited.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.